And we are live just like that. Welcome to the world, Iris. Welcome to the world. The world, welcome, Iris. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Housekeepers podcast. Dare I say, the cleanest hour in podcasting. This is where it's going to be a super fun time. This is, again, for housekeeping managers, by housekeeping managers. We're going to sit back and just talk shop all day. So if you're not into housekeeping management, this may not be for you. But if you are, please grab a drink, grab some popcorn. This is going to be a great show. I'm so excited to meet you, Iris. Iris Verdi.
Thank you.
And learn all about you. So how are you doing? What kind of a name is Iris, by the way? Like, what is the heritage? Is it
It was my mother's favorite flower. So I was her favorite flower. It was the flower that she carried in her bouquet when she got married, and here I am.
And how many siblings do you have?
None.
Oh, that's good, because otherwise...
Spoiled only child.
I was going to say, it'd be quite difficult because you are the favorite flower, someone's the favorite color, somebody else is the favorite month.
Nope, I'm the favorite everything. Only kid.
You got it all at one time. Good for you. Good for you. So tell me, I'm super curious about how you got into the cleaning industry. You're like a powerhouse at this point, but there must have been a day when young Iris was seeking her first job.
Well, actually, it is interesting. So I had a background in antiques, and I had a background in hotels, in retail and those little things that you do when you're in school. And I had relocated from the New York City area to the Pennsylvania area 150,000 years ago. And I had gone and put my resume on Indeed, and I was working selling cars. We had just moved to Pennsylvania. You took the first job that you could have. My son was, I think, 3 months old, and I made this spiffy little resume. I put it on Indeed, and I got a phone call about a second shift supervisor position at a hospital in PA. And I was like, I have no experience in this. And they said, well, you have a couple of things that we're looking for. You have the customer service experience. You have experience working with antiques, which means you know how to restore things, you know how to deal with furniture, and you have a sales background. So we kind of like some of the background that you have. Would you be interested in coming in? And I went in for the interview, and I remember going home and thinking, evening shift, I have a new baby at home. That wouldn't be so bad. It'll be a job. And I obviously I got the position, and it was for a large contract management company, Crothall Services, who I was with for quite some time. And I remember I started off, second shift supervisor, and I worked for them for probably, I'd say about 4 to 6 months before I started to really realize that this could be more than a job, that this wasn't just, something to pay the bills, and that there was so much opportunity. And I started being the person who raised their hand. And I think that when you get your start in this as a contract manager, you have a ton of opportunity. So for me, there's a startup going on. Does anybody want to go and help? I'll do it. We need somebody to go out on some sales calls. I'll do it. And I grew really rapidly in the company. I think I was, I was there for 14 years. And I was at 8 different facilities, and obviously worked my way up to resident regional manager or resident regional director. And it was pretty early on in my career that I realized that the more that you learn, the more that you're willing to do, the faster you can grow in this business.
There's so much to unpack with what you said. Well, I wish we could take what you just said and we could put it in a bottle and we could throw it on a shelf at Walmart, because what you literally just said was you just gave the secret. It's a secret. The secret to success. Say yes.
Yes, 100%.
Don't be one of these, it's not my job.
No.
Everybody who says that's not my job are hurting themselves. The company's not going to get hurt. You hurt. I remember when
someone's willing to do it. Even if it's not you, someone wants to learn. And even if it's not what you technically, signed up to do, you're gaining something from it. So everything that I was offered as an opportunity to do was an opportunity to learn. And I always have looked at everything that way. And I think I owe a lot of where I've gone to that willingness to just say, I'll try it.
1,000,000%. I again, gosh, if you could just, if there's one thing, right? I remember, so I worked for a competitor of Crothall called Healthcare Services Group, and both are fantastic companies, by the way. There's no ill will from
100%.
me, and I imagine from you either. I mean, I learned everything from them. I mean, it was really, really fun. But one of the things that I just decided, and full disclosure, there was a time when I was kind of feeling like negative little Ralphie, where I wasn't happy, and I felt like some things weren't going the way I thought they should be going. It was tougher. Man, is it tougher than I thought it would be? My recruitment story is very much like yours. I put a resume on monster.com, and a guy called me out of the blue and talked me into didn't even tell me it was about housekeeping until the end of the call. The end of the call, he's like, oh, by the way, this isn't housekeeping. But he had me sold way before then. Hard? I mean, I'll let the cat out of the bag. Housekeeping managers, those of us who are successful in any sense of the word, can run circles around any other manager in any other industry. I mean, you hired one person. I hired 8 today, right? Like, it's not even close to be. You had one person get mad at you. I had 3 people throw keys at me. 2 didn't show. You know what I mean? And so I remember I just decided that, you know what? It's like one of those things where every day you wake up and you have a decision to make. You're going to go to work or you're not going to go to work. And if you go to work, though, understand that's your decision.
Yep.
If you're going to say you're going to be there, don't just be there completely. Give everything you have, and good things are going to happen.
100%.
And so I decided I'm going to say yes. I mean, I just put it down on my little goal list. I'm going to say yes to everything that comes my way. And it didn't take long. It was maybe like 3-4 months before we had, again, like new accounts starting. And my boss was like, hey, I need volunteers to go. And he said, I need volunteers to go. And I'm only asking once. And Ralph Peterson is not going because he always volunteers. And so all of a sudden, I went from being willing to do anything to everyone's going, Ralph, you've already won. You've already earned the respect, and you don't have to raise your hand. So it was really interesting. God, say yes.
Yeah. Yes has gotten me a lot of places. Yes has also gotten me, relocated a whole lot when I was still with Crothall, to places like Buffalo, which maybe wasn't my favorite place to be, but still, it's all part of a learning experience. And then you wake up one day and you're working at the beach. So it's not bad.
I do have to tell you that Rehoboth is one of my favorite marathons. And so I'm a little bit of a marathon runner. I've run Rehoboth 3 years in a row. They canceled it last year, of course, due to COVID. But maybe it'll be back this year because it's not till December. So it's a December marathon.
It should probably be back by, hopefully.
Yeah, but Rehoboth Beach Marathon, for those of you who are runners out there, don't want to miss the Rehoboth Beach Marathon. It's a really, really great marathon. Great town. Great little party town.
Such a great little place. I mean, I still just go, how did I end up here? My history is generally in very large, city type of hospitals, big county-owned facilities. And I'm in Lewis, Delaware, living in Rehoboth Beach, and it's not a bad thing.
Tiny little out of the way. The pace is slower.
Lower Delaware.
So let me ask you, did you ever work in housekeeping at all or cleaning at all prior to this?
So other than when I was in the hotel industry, so I was a front desk manager, 250,000 years ago. And part of my duties was inspecting rooms, but that was really the basis. And, hotel cleaning and hospital cleaning are not even on the same level. So I didn't have a lot of experience. And I remember during my training, they send you to another account. So you're not going to learn at the account that you're going to be managing. And I didn't know anything. And part of my training was working for a full week as a housekeeper. And it's 22 years later, and that still sticks with me because it was hard work. I came home every day and my back hurt and my feet hurt and my arms were sore because I wasn't somebody who spent my entire life doing that kind of labor. And I remember to this day what that felt like. And I try to bring that to how I manage my people and respecting how hard they physically work.
Yeah, because it really is. And if you're not familiar with actually doing a job routine, your expectations can be a lot higher than is reasonable. And then all you do is put yourself in a position where you're going to lose all the time. And so that's never good either. I love that practice that everybody who comes, it's almost, I wish CNAs, are they CNAs in Delaware? What are your nursing assistants? CNAs?
Yep, CNAs.
I wish CNAs had to spend some time in housekeeping before they became CNAs. I really do. And that's not to say it the other way around either, because I think that housekeepers could really benefit from learning about bedside manners as well, and what it's like to deal with patients coming in and injuries and family members. And I think that it's some cross-pollination there would be super helpful. But, I had a guy on the show a few weeks ago who was he cleans a university in Davis University in California. Really good guy. But he was talking about the inspection process and hearing from the customers, and the customers doing the satisfaction surveys. And the customers are the teachers, not the students. And that kind of blew me away, because when I initially thought about it, I mean, you'd think the customers are 100% the students, and they're not. The students are the least of their worries. It's the teachers who are there day in and day out. And I'm reminded that in hospitals, in nursing homes, we pick up mostly after staff. We don't find many patients causing the mess. I've never seen one patient drop paper towels or anything in the employee break room, as an example. Yet there's all kinds
leave a
of
cup in the stairwell.
And so I feel like sometimes we want to believe, I certainly want to believe, I certainly want to be in service to the customer, and that customer being the patient, the resident, the end of life care, the family member, right? Because all of us in management, and I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know, but the big draw about being in management is we all want to be a hero, and we like being in charge because we like helping. We like having success and being there for other people. And that's the draw. But when you start to drill down, and if you start to consider for 1 second that our customers are not the patients and not the residents and not the family members, but actually the CNAs, it takes the wind out of my sails. Yeah. It makes me not want to try so hard, and
I think one of the things that I try to do, talking about customers, right? So if anything, I think that we miss is our internal versus our external customers. And to your point, the CNAs are our customers, and the nurses are our customers, and the physicians are our customers, and they all have a different need. They all have a different expectation, and they all own or don't own the facility in different ways, and they can be definitely part of the problem.
Yeah.
So engagement. How do you engage those internal customers? The external customers, the patients and their family members, they're easy. If you set an expectation and you deliver, you're done. My day is complete. I have said that I'm going to keep your room safe and free from infection. I've trained my staff to do that. So done. My internal customers, they can be the ones who are more challenging. Are they washing their hands? Are they handling things improperly in the room? Are the CNAs taking the sheets off the bed before my housekeeper comes in there to clean? And do they know when they don't do that, the impact that it has on our time management? So, yeah.
Do you It's so key. Everything you just said is so key. And you know what? What's so funny is you have a little, it seems a little disdain for the great town of Buffalo, New York.
I do.
So,
I definitely do.
it's funny. I have worked in Buffalo, New York myself for quite a number of years. And I had an administrator, nursing home administrator, when I was trying to get some assistance with getting CNAs, nursing staff, to stop dropping gloves on the floor. Like, it's not dropping. It's not like it's an accident, but like throwing stuff intentionally on the floor next to a garbage can and not bending over to pick it up, like that kind of thing. And you know what he said to me? He said that in the interview, when they're interviewing CNAs, we tell them that it's a benefit they don't have to pick up after themselves. It's an employee benefit. Wow. I was like, all right, so listen, McDonald's has now given iPhones away, to get people to go to work for them. It would be nice if you would have told us in housekeeping that is being offered, because all that's doing is causing, there's a real struggle. There's a real struggle. Housekeepers, and I'm going to say this, but I wonder, it sounds like you never had any indication of this, and neither did I. But did you never feel like housekeeping was below you at all? Did you ever feel like this wasn't?
No. So, it's funny when you ever try to explain to people who have no idea what you do for a living.
I tell people I'm a housekeeper and their head explodes.
I tell people I'm the head toilet inspector at the hospital, because I really think that that's the easiest way to explain what I do. But so I think it's interesting that you say that. I have always maintained, especially when I'm interviewing people in leadership roles for this, if you feel any shame in saying what you do, you will never succeed. I'm in charge of housekeeping. I don't do the environmental services thing. I don't do the, infection prevention thing. I'm in charge of housekeeping. That's my job. And I'm really good at it. And I love what I do. And if you want to judge that, go ahead. I can't stop you.
You know what? I look at my business card. This is my business card.
I need that.
For those who can't see, I'm holding up a toilet. My business card is a picture or a
You're going to have to mail me that. I need that.
I will 1,000,000% send you one of my business cards.
I have cool things on my desk, but not that. I do have a zombie to keep me occupied during this in case I get bored. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you an entire management toolbox. So I love that. I have a whole little management toolbox that I send, that when I'm training managers, I send them, because it's full of stuff that new managers need, like a no button. New managers they struggle with saying no. So I give them a button that says no. You have to set a clear expectation.
That's right.
And, so you said something about, staffing. So this is probably, for anybody who's listening, the toughest time that everybody's had in trying to find staffing. So I live in a resort town. So if you're not familiar with Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, it's nice and quiet here in the wintertime. And then as soon as it starts to get warm, you have all these seasonal jobs that open. And we have restaurants that, my son's a waiter, and he's killing it as a waiter right now. I passed by a local motel the other day that's paying, I think, $16 or $17 an hour with $1,000 sign-on bonus. Like, this is hard. This is a hard time to be recruiting staff. So, talking about your internal customers, I have to say no. If somebody calls me and says, my office has a stain on the carpet, no. I am 100% focused right now on patient areas. One day I will get to your office stain. It's not going to be today. And I set that tone. I say it nicely, and I mean it with as nicely as I can. But you have to understand that right now we are 100% focused on our patients and our public areas. And your office is going to have to wait.
Yeah, that's, man.
It's hard. This is a rough time.
You're speaking to two things. Number one, you're being extremely smart about utilizing your staffing where you can utilize your staffing and not wasting your staffing. On the other side of that, I own a housekeeping management training school, right? So I train housekeepers in all different, I see a lot of hospitals. I see a lot of nursing homes, my point. And I'm exposed to a lot of current practices. And I've seen the whole gambit from housekeepers are borderline servants to the staff.
Which is not acceptable.
Which is real. And you know what? That kind of leads to my point about whether or not, if you've ever felt, kind of embarrassed about being in a housekeeping position, because in my experience, we do get looked down upon a lot in healthcare. We are, if you look at the chain, if somebody wants to put a hierarchy, there's nobody lower than us. And from a real point of view, I think that's the best place to be, because, we're always underestimated and we always come out on top. But it's not always easy to sell to a new staff member. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be 18 and I want you to come in and clean. And I know your friend is a CNA and she's over there and you're over here. And yes, now your friend is now causing more chaos for you and treating you terribly because that legit happens, right? But I've seen nursing homes where the CNAs take the trash out of the resident rooms. Housekeepers don't take the trash out of resident rooms. I've seen hospitals where the nursing staff empties the large soiled trash bins in the soil. It changes shift. They take it with them to the time clock. And then the new shift comes in. They take the empty ones up with them. So I've seen a lot of creative, smart uses of both departments. And I've seen it where they're completely siloed and if it touches the floor, it's a housekeeping issue. And
see, I think so. I'm going to speak to two things. One, I maintain with my staff every day that they're no less important than anybody else here. And I think that if COVID proved anything, it was just how important the environmental services staff. So I will tell people I'm the head toilet inspector, but I will tell my staff that they are environmental services professionals.
Yeah.
And if any time has proven that, it's this past year. They went into those rooms. They went into those rooms when nobody else wanted to. They went into those rooms and they cleaned them. They went into those rooms and they took out the trash. They went into those rooms even though they were afraid. And most of us in this line of work had an aging workforce and people who fell into those high risk categories of staff who should be afraid. And they went and they came to work every day. And even with the short staff, I mean, there were nights that we were here, my management team, where we'd be here until 7:00 at night cleaning discharges because you had so many and we were all housekeepers. And you did it because that's what the job is. But if there ever was a point that showed these are not the maids, they're not here to clean your dishes out of your break room sink, pick them up because we're not going to clean them. These are professionals, no different than anybody else. And their job, just like the doctors and the nurses and everyone else, is to keep our patients safe. So that's point one. And I think I forgot what point two was.
Sing it, sister. Preach on. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely
100%.
Right. Yeah, we had a state surveyor. It was for an infection control survey. We had a COVID unit lockdown, and she looked through the window. And we said
they weren't going in there.
Yeah, we said, we have PPE right here. She goes, I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're not going in there? You're the state. All right. You're just looking through the window.
Joint Commission stopped doing surveys. I was one of the last facilities when I was still in New Jersey before I came here to Delaware. We were one of the last surveys because they stopped surveying.
Crazy. Just
professionals. My staff are professionals.
No question. And every
100%.
manager, like we may have went a little overboard, but right when maybe April, May, I guess, we're like, all right, if you had vacation on the books, we're going to owe it to you next year because we're going to take for management, just all vacations coming off because people were, before when it was really hard to get a COVID test, people were claiming they'd come in contact. And so they'd have 2 weeks off and it was,
And then, now you get kind of light at the end of the tunnel. People are tired and now there's a staffing shortage. So you're kind of still doing it.
What are you doing about the staffing shortage? Like, practically, just from a practicality point of view, what have you come up with new recruiting tools, or are you?
So I'm always recruiting. I really am always recruiting. I'm the person who goes to the supermarket late at night and tries to steal the guy who's scrubbing the floors. I will say that I have stolen, floor techs from every Walmart I've ever stepped foot into.
I got to tell you, that's the place to find floor techs, because those floors look amazing.
Yep, Walmart is where I find all my floor techs.
Floor techs look amazing.
I'm very fortunate. I work for an excellent organization, and they have referral bonuses. So we're constantly trying to, talk to, again, our internal customers about bringing your family, bringing your friends, meet strangers on the street and bring them with you to work. I mean, and then there's that urge when you have people who are coming in interviewing and you know how short staffed you are to be like, oh my God, he has a pulse, I'm going to hire him. And that's the wrong way to go. And you don't do it, but you want to so badly. Like, we still have to maintain our standards. We still have to say, we have to hire the same quality and the same caliber of people. And I've been lucky. I have to say the last few hires have been phenomenal. And healthcare is that business. So again, this is a resort town, and there are other jobs that are out there, but they won't be here in the winter. And I think that the smart people who are looking for sustainable work know that healthcare is an industry that you're always going to find consistent work in. This is it's a hard job, but it's an honest one. And I'm really proud to say that here in the facility that I'm in now, my entire structure of our leadership team in this department is made up of housekeepers who have worked their way up. So nice. There is a nice career path here. And we have a brand new surgical hospital that's going up. So we'll have some more management opportunities. So I think that that's also a part of it. I think housekeepers, you have your housekeepers that are in the right role and they excel at what they do. And then you have those housekeepers who have that little bit extra that you want to bring up. And I love that. I love finding those people who have that little extra something and developing them into that next level.
Agreed. And there's nothing better when it works.
Yes.
Nothing worse when it doesn't, but there's nothing better when it does.
Man, is that true? I will drink to that.
Because it can sometimes be a disaster. To your point, holding the line, like drawing the line in the sand on your new hires, boy, have I been I have been desperate. I have been driving around town desperate.
Oh yeah.
Nobody was in my facility cleaning, and it's had nobody at all. And I mean, I've done everything. I've done the supermarket, putting up the little help wanted with the little rip tickets, writing my phone number down and cutting them so you can just rip off the phone number. I did this whole workshop because I train managers. And so I did this whole workshop on how to guerrilla marketing for housekeeping, doing the same thing you're doing, just go to the store, see who's got the mop in their hand.
Oh, I gave my business card the other day to the gas station attendant because he had really great customer service skills. He was so friendly. He was so sweet. And I was like, I don't know how much you're making, but I'll pay you more. Here.
I worked some time on Nantucket Island. There is a nursing home, a lovely little nursing home called Our Island Home. It's the only nursing home on the island.
Wow.
And they would have suffered, so they don't suffer like you do maybe over there at Rehoboth, but they have the same situation where 3 months out of the year you can make an amazing amount of money,
right?
And then the rest of the year there's $0 to be had, right? It's zero industry on Nantucket. Nantucket is a very very small island, and so there's very little industry there. There's one hospital, one assisted living community, and one nursing home. That's your healthcare starts and ends there. But they pay their housekeepers enough of a wage. I don't remember what it is, but it's a lot. It's enough of a wage to where they would be foolish to try to, they'd be penny smart and pound foolish, or is it pound smart, penny, whatever that saying is.
Penny wise and a pound foolish.
There you go. You know what I mean? Like, because it does work out. On the other side, I was working on the Cape Cod, and again, just like you're saying, where come summer, all the restaurants, the wages don't go up. It's the tips that go through the roof.
Wow, that's exactly it.
The potential to make that money is there. So
the staff here, they've stuck by us. I haven't had anybody who's left to take another position. I've got a tremendous team of people.
Yeah.
And they're dedicated. And again, and they know they're appreciated. So, I think that's a big piece of it as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. And great job goes a long way.
Yeah, no question. So tell me about that. I'm curious about your leadership style. I mean, it seems like you've got something pretty special about you. I know that I've been stalking you a little bit. Now, I'm not talking hyperbole. I mean, I'm, just looking around and seeing some stuff and people talking about you. And we made the announcement that you're going to be on the show, and people seem to come out of the woodwork.
Oh, well, thank you.
They were very excited about having you on the show. I mean, tell me what do you do? How do you keep people? How do you operate?
I think I'm an honest leader.
How do you operate?
I say thank you. I mean, let's just start right there. I believe in training. I believe in giving people the tools to do their job appropriately. I believe in spending the money where you need to spend it in order to have a facility that's thriving. I will, at any given time, roll up my sleeves, go upstairs and discharge a room or scrub a floor, or give my opinion on something because I've been doing it a long time. I think that I lead the way that I would want to be led.
Well, that's good. That's
nice.
I
try to manage in a way that is transparent. I can be tough at times when it counts. But I also think that you spend so much time at work that it should be a little fun, So I believe in the pizza party. I believe in the power of the ice cream social.
Me too.
Food is a good motivator, and it's a great way to say thank you and I appreciate you.
It's also where families have come together as one and solved problems and discussions and learned and discussed, right? So the dinner table is very important for all of us. And so to provide that same atmosphere at work only makes sense.
Yep. And it is, I think the pandemic, if anything, it strengthened the whole family dynamic that you have at work. And it did strengthen that internal customer family as well, because people were working side by side. Suddenly there's less of a divide between, maybe EVS and nursing, because they were hand by hand during a very scary time. And I think that made a difference. Something earlier about, the housekeepers being treated differently. And one of the things that I think that I've learned in the course of the years that I've been doing this is the housekeeper that's assigned to your unit, for anybody who's not in housekeeping but works in healthcare, if you treat them as a part of your team, they'll act like a part of your team. And I try to teach that to nursing every day. Include them in your celebrations, include them in your huddles. Include them in in discussions. If they're just somebody who's there cleaning your rooms, that's how they're going to act. But if they own your department as much as you and the rest of your staff does, they're going to have that level of ownership that makes the difference between a good and a great team member.
No question. I've told the story before, but I was working in a hospital in Pennsylvania, and we were having a real big problem with HCAP scores. And you're familiar with HCAP scores, right?
Yeah, very.
Basically how we live and die in hospitals,
yes,
as far as or whether or not we're doing a good job. And housekeeping, we were just getting wrecked, and it wasn't so much like we were getting we were getting more of no scores than we were getting bad scores, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
When we tried to follow up and we're trying to figure out exactly why we were getting no scores, or like NA. When you see NA on a survey, that when it's housekeeping and housekeeping is NA, you should be going, wait a minute, pause, hold on.
Yeah.
And what we found out was most of the patients just weren't seeing housekeeping, because the patient stay at the time, length of stay, I think, is a lot smaller now, a lot shorter now. But at the time, it was like 3-4 days. 3 days, I think was the average. But those 3 days, they're either, if you're in a hospital for 3 days, those 3 days are either spent with surgeries, rehab, or sleeping, right? Like there's a lot. So even if we were to go into your room to clean while you were in there, most times you weren't paying attention or seeing us in there at all. And then what would happen is nursing would come in and like say they came in, change a shift at 3 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock, and they would do a bed change or a dressing change or a nightie change or a little sponge bath or whatever. Right. And they would throw the linen on the floor in the bathroom. And then the family members would come in and they would use the bathroom. They'd see the linen. They'd go, housekeeping. Has housekeeping been in here?
Nobody cleaned my mom's room all day.
And the patient says, I've never seen a housekeeper. And so they get the survey and it's like, NA, not applicable. We've never seen the housekeeper.
No housekeeper.
And that was a real big struggle for us. Like months of trying to figure out how to get credit. Like, how do you, we're talking about, and this is stupid. It seems silly, but we're talking about either A, waiting to clean the room until the patient gets back, or B, if they're sleeping, wake them up. Like, how do you accidentally wake up a patient?
Cards. You got to leave a little while you were sleeping cards.
Yeah, so we did the tent card.
The business cards. I love the business cards.
We did tent cards. We bought newspapers for all the patients, and we'd put the little sticker. So we used like a sticky note, and it said from housekeeping department on the newspaper. That didn't work. We taped, we had like the seal that goes around the toilet. So the toilet's been cleaned. We put the seal on it. One person fell because they couldn't rip the tape. God. That was it. Couldn't do that anymore.
Well, but you have your nonverbal cues of clean. So though, you've got your tent cards, you've got your little while you were out, while you were sleeping cards, you've got your V tipping, your blue water, your little,
Blue water's key. Blue water's
a big one.
Once. You only get one shot at the blue water.
Get one shot and then somebody comes in and uses the bathroom.
Yeah. So what we finally figured out what to do. And this just goes right to exactly what you were saying with nursing and including housekeeping and everything. We started to add the name of the housekeeper to the whiteboard that's in every one of the patient's rooms.
It's huge.
Once we put a name on it, and it changed every day. You know what I mean? Like even if it was the same housekeeper, we're like erase, write it somewhere else. They put little hearts, little flowers. You're getting a little creative, but change the place of that so that they see it's new. See it like oh, because you don't know. Housekeepers. Do you guys? Let me ask you this about your discharges. Do you do discharges all day, or is it one time of the day?
Oh no, it's all day.
Oh, see, we were doing it all day, and then the hospital stopped, and they said no discharges before 3 p.m. Really great for housekeeping.
Yeah, but it kills you for if you have a busy ER. There's no way you could do that. It disrupts your entire patient flow. I mean, I have discharges in the middle of the night.
Yeah, really. So
I would love
3 shifts of housekeeping then.
Oh yeah. So we have the 3 shifts of housekeeping and you have discharges. I mean, your busiest time for discharges is right now. And the problem is as you have new patients that are coming in, your ED is admitting, you have, physicians who are admitting directly into the hospital. You've got nursing at this time, which really is your peak hours, moving patients, which they do, it's not right. There's substance behind it. So you have a patient who's a high falls risk. You want them closer to the nurse's station so that you can observe them.
Higher acuity, closer to the nurse's station. Sure.
Right. So now you've got all these beds moving at the same time that you have all these patients that are being discharged and more patients that are being admitted. And it just, if you don't have a good discharge team and a program that's around that, you're dead in the water. Because, patient flow, time is money. I have, our system actually will start emailing me when a bed's been sitting for more than 30 minutes before being started. It'll start emailing me when we've gone over 40 minutes before it being completed. I have
that's fantastic. That's
triggers
really,
set up
really
so that I know exactly what's going on, and I can even pull up information and see, does somebody need to be retrained? Is someone, maybe not responding quick enough? And we use it non-punitively. It's a training tool to say, let me explain to you why this is important, why it's important that we go to the next room. So, and then a certain percentage of our discharges were also we're swabbing to ensure that they're appropriately cleaned. And then, you throw COVID into the mix and C. diff. So we have second steps that we're doing as well. So, depending on what it is, we have a Clorox 360, we do electrostatic spraying, we even have a halo system. So we have all these other steps that add to that time. So we need to be on top of it.
I'm curious as to why you're using the Clorox 360, but before I ask you that question, I'm not against it. I'm just wondering why you use it. How are you tracking? Are you using a phone system to track clean and dirty, done, not done?
For our discharges?
Yeah,
So we have a whole bed tracking system. Yeah. So
is it through the phone?
Yeah. So have all my housekeepers carry an iPhone. And then we have a bed board. So they get they're assigned a zone. The zone will send them. So the zone will know if they're busy, if what they're doing, and it won't send them a task until they've completed a task.
Got it.
And then we have the bed board. So there's an office right next to mine where all of my supervisory team is, and the board's always up so that you can see, okay, how long has that been? Is that a stat bed? And then we'll readjust. So we might have a bed that's coming up next for a staff person, but we know that we need this bed faster. So we'll go in and we'll reassign beds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really smart. I was recently at a grocery store, Wegmans grocery store. Is there Wegmans down in Delaware?
There isn't, but I used to live in Pennsylvania, so I love my Wegmans.
And you're familiar with Buffalo, of course. So if there's anything coming out of Buffalo that's good, it's Wegmans. And Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons isn't bad. But
I had a Tim Hortons right in the lobby of my hospital in Buffalo.
Nice.
Love my Tim Hortons.
See? Big shout out for Tim Hortons.
For real.
Wegmans uses a wand system. So they actually use it as a competition, which is super fun because that's Wegmans, right? Like they're super engaging. I think they've won voted number one employer for 5 years in a row or whatever. So, I mean, they're obviously motivating their staff by competitions and games. And so they're really smart about it. But they have this, if you look on even down all their aisles in their bathrooms, just outside of their bathrooms, their front entrance and everything, they'll have these little round, looks like a quarter that's attached to the wall. It's just a little round silver disc. And they have a wand on them. And anytime they go and check a bathroom, they put the wand up to that disc and it tracks how often they go into the bathroom, how often they're cleaning the front entrance, how often they're going into the back. And they use it as a competition. So, first shift, second shift, third shift, right? Like they're all.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And so how many times they're all going in to clean or check bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. Huh. And so I love that too. I think that's really fun. It'd be a fun way to, because you do have to check your common spaces a certain number of times. And if you were able to,
especially now.
Yeah, and if you're able to come up with some kind of a competition and
I love healthy competitions, and I love giving away prizes, even if it's little stuff, even if it's like chocolates or little gift cards. I think that it just makes it fun. I have a whole drawer full of stuff.
Yeah. Funny, speaking of chocolates and my business card, of course, I have chocolates that are toilets, shapes of toilets.
You're going to have to start sharing some of these things with me. I need chocolate. So for housekeeping week one year, I had cookies made up that Clorox bottles, Virex bottles, mops, and pails that were spectacular.
They were all made of cookies?
They were all cookies. There's I'm going to give a shout out to the Jersey Cookie Girl. You can find her on Instagram. She can make anything into a cookie.
Jersey Cookie Girl.
Jersey Cookie Girl. She's on Instagram. Her up. She made, and if you go on my Instagram, she made these incredible. I mean, people were like, really, we're going to eat cookies that look like bleach bottles? And I was like, yeah, we are. Damn Skippy, we are.
I do a lot of public speaking, give a lot of seminars and workshops. And when we were doing them live, I haven't been doing them live for a while now, but when we were doing them live, I would bring chocolate toilet bowls and I would pass them out. And I would always say, this is just so when you go back, somebody says, where were you? Say you were at a crappy conference, right? And so I remember somebody got a little mad at me. They're like, why didn't you get it in white chocolate? Don't you think that'd be a little better? I'm like, I guess I didn't think of white chocolate. All right. It's just that it's just.
I would be happy with any colored chocolate toilet bowl, and I'm really upset that I hadn't thought of those.
Yeah, I'll send you the
But
link.
Housekeeping Week is coming, so
it certainly is, and it's such an important week, and I'm a big fan of. Hopefully, your staff aren't listening because this might be something that you might want to think about doing. I'm a big fan of handing out awards.
Me too.
For things that people don't think are awardable. Like the friendliest person or the person who
I have the Happy Housekeeper Award.
You what?
The Happy Housekeeper Award.
The Happy Housekeeper.
And it has a picture of Happy from the Seven Dwarfs. I have the Whistle While You Work Award.
Oh, that is awesome. So you're already on top of this.
Oh, no, I love the awards. I have, oh gosh, I have a whole bunch of them. I love giving out awards at Housekeeping Week, and I like doing stuff when you can off site. So parks, they're free.
Yeah.
And I try to take my budget and spend it towards like a barbecue. I found a long time ago that the staff really loves being able to do things that they can include their families in. And I always try to find a park. Maybe this year I'll figure out a way of doing it at the beach. And just having a family barbecue and letting people bring their families, having a piñata for the kids, and just making a fun day of it. I'm very fortunate. My fiance is a DJ. So he brings his equipment.
Hold on. If anybody knows where we can get a piñata toilet, you let us know.
Absolutely.
A toilet-shaped piñata. Don't let that go by.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be. Use a toilet plunger as the bat. That's good.
Housekeeping Week is literally my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
Like I like Housekeeping Week more than Christmas. I love Housekeeping Week. It's fun.
You know what's so great about you is, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that are great about you. It's like you're. Let me say it this way. One of the challenges most people have with giving people gifts is they're concerned whether or not the person who's getting the gift will like the gift. And you seem like you so enjoy giving the gift that you're going to
like this.
You're going to like. You're almost like it's a command. You're gonna love this, and you're like, how do you not love this? I mean,
that's 100% me right there. You nailed me right there.
Yeah, I think that is pretty fantastic. I think that's a great quality. I love giving gifts too, and as soon as somebody makes it about them and not about me, I'm so don't want to give them a gift anymore. They're like, well, are you sure they're going to like that? I'm like, I have no idea, but I love it. And I think it would be perfect on their shelf. And
100%.
Yeah. I love that. You're going to love this.
You're going to love this, whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not. So great. So great. So other than, well, let me just ask you, where do you use your Clorox 360 machine? Where do you use it?
C. diff. So, well, it's a mix. So we have a Halo system. Are you familiar with those?
You've been using it all along then?
Well, so all along we've been using the Halo. Are you familiar with the Halo? So the Halo is a activated hydrogen peroxide product, which I love.
Yeah.
The problem for me with the Halo is that it's very time consuming. So you have to seal all the vents in the room. You set this off, and then it's usually 40 minutes to an hour before it dissipates and you can go into the room. The other problem is activated hydrogen peroxide and bleach are not friends. So if you're bleach cleaning a room and then you're following it up with peroxide, you're actually canceling some of the efficacy. So I wanted to find a nice second step because people are fallible, right? So I can wipe down even myself. If I'm going in and I'm cleaning a C. diff room, I can miss something. So when you have that second step of spraying, I feel like it's giving that extra layer of protection. I love an extra layer of protection. I think that anything that you can do that offers that little bit more always has some value to it. So I like electrostatic in public areas as well. And Clorox 360 has the two different products. They have the Clorox product and then they have the Total Care product. And I liked using that, especially during the pandemic, in my waiting rooms, elevators, stairwells, high touch areas where you have a lot of people who are just touching. And again, you have limited resources and limited staff. So I can spray a very large area in a third of the time that it would have taken me to wipe down all of that area. And things that you're not going to be able to wipe all day long, I can spray really fast. So that's why I really like the electrostatic. I think one is that extra layer protection, but two, time efficiency is a big deal.
Yeah, no, that's really smart, especially when it comes to disinfecting, not cleaning, because you're not cleaning anything.
You're not cleaning anything.
And I too came from the hotel side. So my first job in housekeeping was at a condo for a ski resort. And I was 16, and you wouldn't think that that'd be a great job for a 16-year-old boy. But I was the only guy there was one other guy, but he was a driver, and he was a lot older, and none of the girls liked him. So I really had a good time. But but other than that, so then I went into hotel cleaning, and I did the same thing where I was the inspector. And housekeeping in hotels pre-COVID, we cared nothing about infection control. I would use the same dry towel to shine the entire room.
So let's think about it. So I was a project manager for a decent amount of time, and I traveled extensively when I was with Crothel. And the thing that you learn really quickly is that they don't have mops on their carts. When was the last time pre-COVID, when was the last time you saw a housekeeping cart in a hotel that had a mop on it? Because they were using the towel you showered with.
Using the towel you shower with. Going along the floor. They might spray something unless 100%. The floor's already wet. If the floor's already wet, they're just
with their foot. So it's not even like they're bending down and scrubbing it. They're using their shoe.
That's right. I was working at a bed and breakfast. Yeah. So I'm still a young man, 18, 19, working at a bed and breakfast. And I saw that housekeeper with a mop, and she was going through and mopping all the bathrooms. And so I was looking for the mop bucket, and I didn't find it. And so I went to see her. Right? I'm like, where's the mop bucket? And she goes, no, I've already cleaned all the toilets. And so she just dips the mop in. Toilets are already clean, she said. So she's just using the toilet water to mop the floor with. And I got to tell you, when I was 19, that made sense to me. I was not grossed out. I did not think anything of it. I was like, all right, no big deal.
But that's not the grossest thing that you're finding in a hotel room.
Well, no, I mean, what do you want to talk about the grossest thing? You're talking about remote controls? You're talking about the beds not being changed over? Are you talking about what part of it that you want to talk about?
The glasses.
Never
use the glasses.
Never use the coffee machine.
Never use the coffee machine. Never, ever, ever use the glasses.
Yeah.
Ever. If there's a Keurig in the room and you have a disposable cup, you're kind of safe.
Yeah.
But if there is a coffee machine and a mug, run.
Yeah.
Because whatever they wiped your nightstand with is what they clean the inside of that.
That's right. That's right. The point I was going to make is that when I joined long-term care, that's my first hurrah back into housekeeping, was in long-term care. There was very little attention paid to presentation and a lot of attention paid to infection control. And when I first started, that's what it was sold as. Infection control rate is so much more important, and clean toilets outdo clean floors. And I just don't buy it. I still think presentation is so.
I agree.
There was this study that I read, and this is really what turned me around. Because again, I'm working in an area where nurses are not clean. They're not. They're creating more messes than they need to. They're leaving dirty diapers, dirty Depends in sinks, on shelves, in windows.
I've seen it, especially working in larger and county facilities where I am now. These are the most collaborative nurses I've ever worked with. And I am
I'm jealous.
very, very fortunate. They wouldn't. I work with the kind of staff now that will bend down and pick something up that somebody else dropped. And that's very, very rare.
Yeah, it is rare. And so I read this study that it was all about rule breaking. And the question is, are people more willing to break the rules if other rules are being allowed to be broken? And it turns out it did. And the reason why it was so impactful to me is because it had to do with trash. And so there was a trash can, and there was a sign that says, "Please don't litter. Put trash cans are provided for your convenience. Please put all the trash in the trash can." And it was at a Little League field, and there was a hole in the fence. And the whole experiment was people would be going to see a Little League game, and the experimenter would ask them to help them bring some boxes over, but say, please don't go through the fence, which is the shortcut, because there's a Little League game in play and you don't want to disrupt them, right? And there's a big sign above the hole in the fence that says, please don't use this. Right. Don't go through here if a game is in play. And there's also the garbage can right there. If there was no garbage around the garbage can, everybody obeyed the rules. If the garbage can was full, or if there was garbage all around it, nobody obeyed the rules. Think about that. So what the study was showing is that if you allow messes, people don't respect the area. They don't respect any of the rules. And that clicked for me in a big way, because then I hear about that study, that I'm going to my nursing home, and gloves are thrown everywhere, and diapers are thrown everywhere, and linen's thrown everywhere. And I'm like, how many other rules are being broken here?
What you permit, you promote.
What you permit, you promote. So now I'm really at a loss. I don't know what goes first, but I think presentation for me would be more important than anything else.
So long-term care is hard and I have a background in both. Long-term care, it's their home. And there has to be, I think, that extra level of oomph.
On the presentation side, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's hard. I've worked in multiple hospitals that have both, that have the hospital and have the long-term care.
Yeah.
And there's always different rules, with the amount of personal effects that you can have. And I know in some of the places that I work, the housekeepers would complain, she has so many knickknacks. It's hard for me to dust, and those little things, but it's their home. They don't live at your job. You work in their house.
Exactly.
You have to have that extra level of presentation. You have to have that loved one. When I'm training staff in a healthcare facility, I'm saying, this is your community. At any point, God forbid, somebody you love could be the next person in that bed. And we should always be cleaning as if somebody that you care about deeply is the next patient that's going to be in that bed, and that you want to make sure that they're safe from what that last patient had. Long-term care, they do become a part of your family, and you do start to have those residents that you get really attached to, and you do have that different level of, I think, service that you want to give to these residents. And it's a little bit harder.
You just highlighted something that I don't know that I've quite grasped. And maybe it's not fully this, but I think it's going to be a piece of it, where, because hospitals is always the healthcare system, kind of, the most important part of the healthcare system is the hospital. And a lot of times in long-term care, we kind of feel like excuse my word, but like the bastard children,
the redheaded stepchild.
The stepchild, yeah. Like we're the lesser of the healthcare. And I think you just articulated quite well why that might be. Whereas the hospital is a public forum, and anybody could walk in that door at any time for any reason. And long-term care is not a public forum. It is full of people who are mostly at end of life care. So you don't go there until you're very old, and then you only go there to visit those who are very old. And by the way, let me let the cat out of the bag. There aren't a lot of family members who care one iota about the people who are there very old in end of life care. We have a lot. We do not have a lot of visitors. We do not have a lot of family involvement. And so now there's that seclusion. So not only is the community not going, but the people who are there end of life, they are quite literally the redheaded stepchildren because they don't have that community exposure, and there's very little threat of community exposure.
Yep. And that's where you start to ask your staff that every day. So this was my motivator. Every day I told my staff, I want you to do something for one person that made a difference for them. It could be something little, like sitting down with them while they're having breakfast, or knowing that they haven't had a visitor in a while and spending that extra 10 minutes talking to them. But every day I challenge you to do something for that resident and to make a difference in their life. And I want you to come down at the end of the day and say, I made a difference today.
It was about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months after I started working in long-term care, working in a nursing home in housekeeping. It took me that long for me to really kind of fully understand my role and how much I needed to be on my feet. Because in housekeeping, the office is not your friend. It just isn't. And
managed by walking around.
Management by walking around. And I remember I started to do this whole thing where, you'd have to walk around 5, 6, 8 times a day. And it was a 5-story building. And so I was like committed. I'm going to go up the back staircase all the way to the 5th floor and then just round all the way down and then get everyone else done and then go back up and then down. So like I said, 6, 8 months before I figured out like this is what you have to do. Otherwise people are just going to sneak away for cigarettes and whatever. And I remember quite distinctly, I'm on a move and I'm just walking very fast, just saying hello. And my whole thing is the best thing I can do for anybody is give a positive attitude. Positive. Just happy-go-lucky. And this resident stopped me. He's been sitting out in front of his room for months now, watching me. And he stopped me one day and he said, do you realize that you are the light of my life? Oh, I know. I was like, what? He goes, like, you are like a rock star. He goes, when you walk on this floor, everybody gets happier. And I was like,
oh my God, that's so sweet.
If there's a mission I want, that's the mission I want, right? I mean, because there's very few other departments that have the ability to even walk the entire building. You're a nurse manager. You're a nurse manager on that unit. Yep. You know what I mean? You're a director of something. You're housekeeping. We get the luxury of everywhere, seeing everything and everyone all the time. We're the most important. I don't know why we don't get paid more.
I don't either. I agree. But we are. And I think the thing that staff doesn't always understand is we're the ones who are coming in their room. We're not poking them. We're not prodding them. We're not giving them bad news. We're most of the time not disturbing them because we're coming in, after they've had their breakfast. They like seeing us. Yeah. We're making their environment better. We're taking the things out of their room that they don't want. We're cleaning for them. They love us.
They want to love us. They want to love us.
Talk to your patients. Talk to your patients. Talk to your patients.
And all we have to do is smile and be kind. Man, what a job. Smile, be kind, and as Iris says, say yes.
Say yes. Always say yes. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Well, this has been super fun. I really appreciate it. Can you believe an hour has gone by already?
No, I can't. I kept glancing over going, I still have more to say.
I know. We're going to have to have you back on again because this has been a really great, engaging, super fun, super relaxed. This is what I love about this show is that I hope it highlights just how amazing housekeeping managers are. Just how amazing. You really are great.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
That hospital is lucky to have you, and your staff are lucky to have you. And I hope they appreciate you because
I appreciate them, and I appreciate the collaboration here.
It's clear. It's clear. Before we get out of here, if you are in the position where you are, maybe you've always wanted to be a housekeeping manager, maybe you've been a number 2 for a while, and you just need a little help getting that push over the edge, consider attending the standard help and rehab. It is a workshop. We do a whole thing. We do seminars, workshops, webinars, everything to train housekeeping managers. Oh my gosh. By the way, we have this brand new thing. It's called Housekeeping Leadership Academy, where it's every week. It's a 1-hour mentoring call with me. It's a group coaching call with me and a bunch of housekeeping managers from all over the country, talking management, talking strategy, talking how to hire, how to fire, how to write up, how to discipline, how to reward our staff and get things done. So if you're interested in the Leadership Academy, please reach out to me at info@ralphpeterson.com. Otherwise, this has been the Housekeepers podcast. Thank you so much, Iris, for being on. And that's it for us. Iris, thank you.